All right, let's get into it. Today, we're breaking down MIMOSE 2025, which is basically a survival strategy for the AI revolution. Now, MIMOSE stands for Future Mobility Seminar, and it was put together by a group called MIMOSEL, think Future Mobility Celebs. This is a serious collection of top experts whose whole job is to figure out how we navigate this crazy new world. So let's take a look at the game plan they came up with. So, here's the billion-dollar question, right? How do you actually survive in the age of AI? It's what everyone is asking. And at MIMOSE 2025, they didn't just philosophize about it. Nope, they actually built a practical survival guide. So, let's open up their playbook and see what's inside. Okay, before we even get into the what, we've got to talk about the how. Because how this seminar even happened is a lesson in itself. This whole thing was born out of some really deep, intense conversations within the MIMOSEL group. It was spearheaded by the vision of its chairman, Park Sung-beom from EXCO. But here's the cool part. This wasn't some big corporate mandate. It came together because members voluntarily stepped up. You had I노시뮬레이션, led by CEO Jo Joon-hee, generously offering up the space. You had Roo Young-hyo from the ConceptMapLab masterfully facilitating everything. And it was all backed by amazing sponsors. This whole setup tells you the first rule of AI survival. You absolutely cannot do this alone.
All right, buckle up. Time for Section 1. The very first part of the strategy is all about understanding the massive scale and, frankly, the terrifying speed of what's happening. We're not talking about some wave off in the distance. This is a tsunami, and it's already hitting the shore.
So Professor Choi Jae-hong from Gachon University kicked things off with a number that pretty much made everyone's jaw drop. That number you see, 310 times trillion won. That's the potential productivity boost annually just for Korea by 2030. It's just a staggering number. And if you zoom out to the global scale, we're talking something close to 4 quadrillion won. This isn't just a new feature or an upgrade. This is a complete rewrite of the entire economic operating system. So where does all that money, all that value come from? Well, Professor Choi had this perfect, simple analogy. He said, we cooked rice, not raw rice. And it just clicks, right? Raw data is like uncooked rice. It's there, but it's not very useful. The real magic, the real value, the cooked rice, is what you get when AI takes that raw data and processes it into something you can actually use, like real insights and services. And if you want to talk about speed, just look at this. It's insane. Apple was founded in 1974. It took them 44 years to hit a $1 trillion market cap. Totally respectable. But then, look what happens. Just 2 years to hit 2 trillion, and then only about a year and a few months to hit 3 trillion. The acceleration is just off the charts. So what's the big takeaway here? The golden time to get your act together for this AI era, it's not in 5 or 10 years, it's right now. The next 1 to 2 years are absolutely critical.
Okay, so the tsunami is here. We get it. Now, how do you build a raft? Right? That's what Section 2 is all about. This is the practical part. The new tools you need in your belt and the new rules of the game you have to play by if you want to make it through.
First up, let's talk about a tool for just cutting through the noise. Roo Young-hyo, who runs the Concept Map Lab, presented this, and it's a game changer. It's called a concept map. The best way to think about it is like a master blueprint for anything complex. You get your entire project, all the moving parts, the processes, the potential problems, all of it, visualized on a single page. Suddenly, everyone's on the same page. Misunderstandings just evaporate. It makes collaboration so much more efficient. And this isn't just theory. He showed how it's been used in the real world with major companies like Nexen Tire to solve really tough problems. In an age of information overload, a tool that brings this kind of clarity is basically a superpower.
And using tools like this points to a much bigger shift. It's about what it even means to be an expert anymore. Roo Young-hyo really hammered this point home. The old idea of an expert, that's the person who has all the answers locked in their brain, the lone genius who does it all themselves. That's over. The new expert, the expert of today and tomorrow, is totally different. They're a master collaborator. Their skill isn't knowing everything, it's being amazing at defining a problem with crystal clarity and then working with AI to find the best solution.
And this is maybe the single most important mindset shift you can make. Your value is no longer just about doing the work, it's about directing the work. The most valuable skill on the planet is quickly becoming your ability to give good instructions to an AI. It's about managing it like a new team member who just happens to be a super genius and works at the speed of light.
Okay, but with all these new tools and new ways of working come new risks. And this is where lawyer Choi Ji-soo from law firm Lin stepped in with a pretty stark warning. She said, look, as we're all changing and transforming, we have to stop managing our most important asset, our people, based on just gut feeling. That's not going to cut it anymore. We need actual, documented systems.
And she laid out some of the biggest internal risks you need to watch out for. First, data leaks. We always think about hackers, but a lot of the time, the leak comes from inside. Second, dealing with low performers. Without a clear, documented process, you're just asking for legal headaches. Then you've got things like workplace harassment, which can absolutely destroy productivity and expose you legally. And finally, preventing major accidents. This isn't just a safety issue anymore, it's a CEO-level responsibility to have the systems in place to prevent them. All of this gets way more intense when your company is changing fast.
All right, so we've talked about the new mindset, the new skills, the new rules. Now, let's zoom out. Let's talk about the actual physical stuff that makes all of this AI magic happen. We're going from the software to the hardware, to the place where the revolution is literally being built, brick by digital brick.
Ryu Pyong-so from Super Solution laid out this really clear evolution. Think about it. First, we had AI that could recognize things, cognitive AI. Then we got generative AI that can create stuff. That's where we are now. But the next two steps are happening fast. We're moving into agent AI, which actually does things for you. And then the big one, physical AI. We're talking robots, autonomous vehicles, AI that actually moves around and interacts with the real world. And that kind of leap, well, it needs a whole new kind of factory to power.
And here's the big idea he presented. The data center as we know it is dead. Forget thinking of it as a big storage closet for files. That's the old world. Today, it's being reborn as an AI factory. It's a place that doesn't store data, it manufactures intelligence. And it runs on an incredible amount of horsepower, like these massive NVIDIA superpods.
This changes the entire economic equation. Get this, in the new economy, profit is generated by creating tokens, those little bits of output from an AI model. So the computing power that generates those tokens, that's not an expense anymore, that is the product. The AI factory isn't a cost center you try to shrink, it's the core profit center you need to grow.
Okay, AI factories, new economic paradigms, this is all exciting high-level stuff, but what does it actually feel like to live through this? What's it like on the ground? Well, now we get to the really candid story of a company that's been around for 25 years and is right in the middle of this fight.
This quote from Jo Joon-hee, the CEO of Inosimulation, just hits you right in the gut. He said, "The charity is over and now survival begins." Wow. That just perfectly captures the immense pressure that's on right now. For a company that's been around for a while, the days of just cruising along are gone. It is now a straight-up fight to survive.
So what did they do? He talked about this massive, critical pivot their company's making. They're shifting from a business model based on one-off projects, which are super hard to scale, to a model based on products. The goal is to create standardized, scalable solutions that you can basically copy and paste. It's the only way they can keep up and actually compete in this new AI-driven world.
And the lessons he shared were, well, they were brutally honest, clearly learned the hard way. First, forget dominating the market all by yourself. It's not going to happen. You need strategic partnerships, even with your competitors, your frenemies. Second, be careful with VC money. It can be a double-edged sword. And maybe the biggest lesson of all, real, long-term survival isn't just about having the coolest tech. It's about having the guts to change your entire business model when you have to.
So, let's recap. We've seen the scale of the tsunami, we've looked at the new toolkit, we've toured the AI factory, and we've heard a gut-wrenching story from the front lines. Now it's time to pull it all together. This is it, the final 5-point survival strategy from MIMOSE 2025.
Here's your plan. Write this down. Number 1, see the value, not just the data. You've got to learn how to cook the rice. Number 2, direct, don't just do. Become an amazing collaborator with AI. Number 3, build your factory. Understand that all that infrastructure is now a profit center. Number 4, manage from the inside out.
Your biggest risks are internal, so build your legal and cultural defenses. And number 5, embrace your frenemies. You need partners to survive, so stay resilient and collaborative. You know, the whole seminar ended on such a high note. You could really feel the energy in the room, and it was all captured in these closing remarks. You had Chairman Park Sung-bim with this powerful toast, "Wihayo," which means for the cause. Jo Joon-hee said he hoped they could have opportunities like this more often. Lawyer Choi Ji-soo apparently delivered a clever acrostic poem. And then Professor Choi Jae-hong just summed it all up perfectly. Haja, chara haja. It means let's do it and let's do it well. Just a perfect call to action.
And that really brings it all back to you, doesn't it? The AI revolution is here. That's not up for debate. The question is no longer if you're going to change, but how. So after hearing all this, what's your first move? What's the first line you're going to write in your own survival strategy?